G'day, g'day, g'day! Alright, g'day and welcome. Saturday's stream. It's good to be back. Alright, just gonna do a quick audio check. Make sure we're good. Sweet, we are good. Good. G'day and welcome. Hope you guys stick around. So today's gonna be an interesting day. We're gonna be doing some bug squashing with the integrations that I wrote. Couple of little bugs hanging around that we need to kind of tease out, which is going to be easy said than done just due to the nature of these bugs. And they're mainly inside the specific, where are they? Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? It's within the component, within the code that's actually performing the XPath response. I'm just trying to figure out where it was. Oh, where is it? I think it's on the creation. I can't remember. It's been a while since I've touched it, but we'll get there. So there's some bug squashing there that I want to have a bit of a crack at. This other thing which I've been thinking about is writing. I was still on the fence about this, trying to figure out how I want to do this. But I want to be able to maybe write a so so tired. I want to be able to write an XPath converter. So essentially, what we can do is we can write a PowerShell query which can convert that query into XPath. I don't like because XPath and where object really are loosely the same in the sense that you can do some really interesting stuff with XPath. And essentially it follows a similar behavior to how it XPath functions. Oh, so sorry. So for instance, obviously the way that it works is that within XPath you could do a specific thing. So let's say we've got top level and you want to be able to get a specific value. So you would essentially wrap it within a parentheses, and there's methods that you can call a square parentheses, and there's methods that you can call that basically can perform those matchings, whether that's like contains, starts with, ends with. There basically is a whole bunch of different things you can do there. And then within XPath itself, so for instance, you can essentially perform a pipe action within PowerShell. So essentially, we could do a condition here on the top level elements within the HTML source code, and then we can basically go dot dot, for instance. Actually, that's a bad example, but essentially we can, pop in information about, div1. So you can essentially translate the table and then start performing additional conditions, and then you can basically go back up, and then we'll do another condition here to finally get your expected result. Now, it's not something that is common, that is really used on a common basis, but it's something that I think XPath is really powerful, and it's something that a lot of people can leverage, and not necessarily know the language, but essentially be able to have a method that can be able to translate that into XPath. And PowerShell is actually quite well suited for that, because essentially the pipeline essentially can function as the translation. So for instance, if you were wanting to do a translation, you could literally, the equivalent would be starting off with your base object, piping the where object, having your first condition, and then you could pipe, and essentially you could move around here. So each pipe, we could just say, get parent, something like that. So essentially you could Um, or you can go get child, or something along those lines. And that would allow you to essentially write the condition. So that's the idea there, is that essentially you can start with an object, and then basically write a condition based off that. I don't know how, what I'm thinking, or like, I don't know how, what the best approach is in terms of, do we make it like, because I like the pipeline approach. I think it's a lot easier to kind of ascertain. So, for instance, it also means that you can then segment each item. The tough thing, I think, which will be difficult, essentially, I think you would have to get, you would have to write a commandlet for each thing. So, for instance, I'm thinking you would have to write, let's say, you got, get parent. So, if you wanted to get a specific item, you would have to go, um, um, get element or something like that, and then it'd be name. Um, I don't know, like it essentially would have to be like name or index, something along those lines, which I don't particularly like that at the moment. Like, I think it's a lot easier to write, but essentially, though, it obviously overly complicates it because of the fact that we've got to use these commandlets. Um, However, I think if as a rudimentary language, I think it actually offers some benefits, especially because you don't need to do a lot of things in XPath. So, for instance, you don't necessarily need to get the object, and then pipe it in, like using XPath. So you don't need to write a condition. You can essentially abstract that into XPath. Oh my gosh, I'm tired. Which means that, from that perspective, it's um, a lot more feature rich, because it means that then XPath is doing a lot of the work, so it's going to be faster and it's obviously more efficient. Having it written in a specific, I'm not, I'll say domain specific language, but essentially writing a query string that can actually do that. Um, yeah, and like the other thing is that I don't know how that's going to look, because at the end of the day, though, you kind of want the ItaliSense. So whether is that, do we, if we're going to, like, say, convert to XPath, um, and then we have our, do we just basically um, write it like this, like, like essentially, um, which the problem with that is that, I don't know. I just don't like that. Like, I think that it just doesn't, like, within the constraints of PowerShell. That's kind of what you have to. That's what you're stuck with. Um, I don't know. What do you guys think? Or gals? I think that there's. Um, I don't know. I just don't know. Like, um, I just don't know. But anyway, oh, sorry, I was gained out there. But anyway, so what we can do is um, Um, let's leave this for the time being. I'm just going to wrap it up with a big old comment, which we can come back to. And we can go from there. So I think for the time being, um, we will just say, um, Yeah, we'll focus. Like, I think it's going to be a tough one because of the fact that there's um, a distinct issue here with writing it. Like, and the other thing is that do you just like, is it easier just to write documentation for a person to be able to use XPath? Like, XPath is not complicated. It's just it just is. It looks difficult to begin with. So whether that's something that you know, you need to look at or not. So, all right, let's do it. So the next thing we need to get, I think it's SE event. Can't even remember what it was now. Look at that, you can save screenshots. That's so cool. Where is it? Here it is. This is the issues that we've been having. So essentially, the XPath matching is append ID into XPath query if there's an ID, strict match. Perform literal lookup if using XPath in the lookup. Perform loose matching. Add property to the output. So I know that there was an issue here within Microsoft Edge. So I'm thinking that, well, what we can do is have a look at this anyway, and try and figure out what is going on here. Because essentially, is this when we're creating? Okay, so we're using find SE element. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to grab find the SE element. I'm just going to chuck it out here. Let's go ahead and load the module. All right, so first things first, let's go ahead and clear that. Copy that path. Okay, cool. So we're started up. Next thing we want to do is, this is something I've been working on, is working with Microsoft Rewards. So we could, I don't really want to use rewards, to be honest. But we are having the same issue, so let's just go ahead and use it then. So I'm just going to go ahead and sign in when it decides to fire up. Oh no, I've got to migrate to it. I've actually got to enter the URL. Okay, so the issues that we look like we're having. Hang on, I'm just gonna put on. No, don't want that. So what I'm thinking of doing is, so there was an issue with trying to find a specific element. I'm just gonna have a look in here. Okay, so we don't, yeah, so okay. I think that may be for Firefox, because it rewards that Microsoft, when you're using Edge, it just automatically signs in. So maybe it's within here? Okay. Okay, so there's nothing being returned there, but there's no error. Whoops. Go in, yes, open DevTools, please. Because yeah, I'm doing this full on XPath query here. This is what I mean, is that essentially you can run, so I'm looking for anything that has a span with that. and then basically going and fetching the parent. So what we're going to do, let's use something really rich. What's a really rich website? Usually news sites. Let's go to ABC News. Let's go to the ABC News. Okay, so we've got our news site here. ABC is fairly balanced. um, so what we're going to do now is we're going to go and find SE element. I'm going to run this, and that will essentially take over the function of find SE element, and we're just going to drop a breakpoint here because I just want to have a bit of a looky-loo in here. So let's just go find SE element. And what we're going to do is use the driver. And we're just going to look for the element. Let's just break open that. Man, I might just pop out the gonna pop it out, makes it a bit easier to muck around in. So okay, so we just need to find an element. Oops, don't want that open. Close, please. What is going to be that? So okay. Let's just use this article here. So what we're going to do. Oh, look at that! They've actually got custom tags in here. So let's just go grab the article. So we're just gonna look for article. Okay. Excuse me. All right. Where is my untitled? Okay, I think. Wait. G'day, Simon. So just picking up from where we left off, I've got to do some bug squashing with this piece of code here, where essentially what this is doing is it's trying to perform an XPath. It's trying to get the XPath query. It's trying to do an XPath query lookup to associate the HTMLAgilityPack element to the Selenium element, and then adding it here. So I think there's some issue here. I've just got to muck around with. Let's see how we go. I'm just trying to remember how to. What do we got here? What parameters we got? Element, weight, timeout. Find us the element. CSS. A name. Okay, we've got. Oh, so I don't know why I was using element. So let's just use class name. What do we have in here? Let's go ahead and have a look at. What classes do we have here? Okay, there's a flexbox there. Let's grab that class there. So we're just going to chuck that in. Okay, cool. All right, well, That didn't even hit a breakpoint, which not great. Let's just try that again. There we go. Okay, cool. So what it's trying to do here, so does it have an ID? So XPath query, is there an ID? So there's no ID. Is there an XPath? Which there shouldn't be. Yep. So it should be creating a loosely bound XPath query, which should be called this. So essentially it writes and it basically wants to get anything with article with the class of that. So if we have a look back at this, you can see here it knows the element name. And that was the issue, was the fact that it couldn't actually figure out the name. So if we went to output, the tag name, yeah, so there's it does get the tag name, but why is it? But if the tag name, if I remembered correctly, if the tag name doesn't exist, it throws a massive error. So that's fine. That actually will return an element and join the two items together perfectly fine. So we need to find something else. Down the stack we go. Let's try a let's try a span. We could get an XPath query here. That would definitely fail because there is actually no, it would succeed. Let's try it. Let's try it out. So what we need to do here is let's just copy the full XPath. Let's just go find SC element. That failed. Why did it fail? Did it fail up here? Did it did it even return an output? Output's empty. So that's the reason why that didn't work. So that's fine. So if it's trying to grab an XPath value, that's fine. All right, let's use this. Let's use a span. Let's actually grab a full span class. And we're going to basically say, get me that. Okay, we're cooking with gas. Cannot have white space in class name. Oh. Yes, you can. Not ideal though, but yes, you can. Which means that shouldn't return anything. Honestly, it should even fail. Okay, let's target find SC elements. That should literally fail before anything. Like, it shouldn't even pass down to the output. And like, it's trying to refresh the HTMLAgilityPack source as well. Which, that's bad news. That's bad news. Refresh the HTMLAgilityPack object in the resulting element. I think that actually needs to be moved into here because if you have issues, it's going to fall out. The only other way would be to rewrite this inside a massive try. So, Simon, how's your Friday night or afternoon or start of Saturday morning going? Um, yeah, I think that's going to be the case. I think there's no really other way that to kind of um, to be able to do this because um, I don't like the fact that we have to nest it within here. And we're basically just essentially just running blind. And I don't want exceptions kind of falling into here and causing any sort of unknown issue. So I think it's better to write. Um, I'm just trying to think what the yeah, I'm gonna wrap it in a try catch. Um, and then what we can do here, that means that then basically this code now is a lot more stable. If I drop that in there now, so it's a lot better now. But just by wrapping it in try catch. So if there's any issues with performing that lookup, it won't even try and invoke the HTMLAgilityPack refresh, which is a way better way of doing it. And you can see there's from an output perspective, it doesn't. There's no difference. It's exactly the same. From our perspective, however, it's a lot easier. Okay, so cannot sling. Exception calling single node with one argument. Expression must evaluate to a node set. Okay. Let's try that class name. So that works. But this specific node doesn't. That's a Selenium thing. Okay, so let's just go ahead and rerun that. Okay, cool. So so what happens if we have multiple? That's the other thing, is that this is only selecting one. That kind of worries me a little bit. It's 11 p.m. I've got a terrible code. I'm just spending some time relaxing. Oh, God. I'm sorry about that, mate. Oh, make sure you rest up, eh? Yeah. My daughter's sick at the moment, so I totally understand. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I just like writing catch this way. It's yeah. I think some people like it. It's all comes down to personal preference. That's the way I like writing try catch. Yeah. This is a problem here as well as the fact that if we go and have a look at this specific um, it should be back to top. That's what we should see there. So let's just go ahead and let's have a look at this. It should be back to top. What span? Yep. Okay. Yeah. Text is back to top. Okay, so essentially, let's see what happens here. So we can't perform a literal class lookup because we don't have an ID. But we should have the ability. Yeah, so we have a wrapped HTMLAgilityPack element in here. So um, I get a lot of heat for doing that sometimes, but sometimes I like. Um, Honestly, if there's a specific style guide that basically says write it in this specific way, then obviously the style guide says write it that way. But the reason why, like, the reason essentially it's all the same thing. Like you were really picking at semantics here. But the reason why I do it this way is simply because um, having it honestly, if even if you have it on its own line, it just looks like it's a waste of a line the way I see it. Like it's semantics when it goes through the AST and the compiler, but that's essentially the way I see it. Um, the one thing I like to do as well, though, is I do like to line break every line after it, just because it's easier to read. So essentially, less spaced out code is easier to read. It's a lot more to read, but it's easier to follow along versus having yes, like bunched up code. So, and this is where it really kind of comes down to, again, like, do you do that for really, really simple things? So in this instance, I'm not doing that because, essentially this is a functioning more like a switch statement than it is an if statement. So we're only populating a single variable, therefore there's no point doing that. Where I believe that if you're doing something like where it's quite complicated, for instance, yeah, we're calling a method, something along those lines. Yeah, I would space it out. But in those instances when it's something super basic like this, you can just chuck it in there. And the thing is as well, then it actually makes documentation a little bit easier to follow along there. Um, so it's really kind of just making sure you get the best of both worlds. Um, but when right, yes, 100% agree. Um, a consistency is important, and I always follow style. But when I write code from start, I do like that, and sometimes I change when people disagree. I don't care too much, to be honest. Honestly, unless the person can provide a valid reason, aka against the style guide, it really doesn't matter. Like when my colleagues write code, um, I don't basically like put it this way. I don't go breaking balls over people's code styles because um, that essentially coding styles is actually good because it makes people unique, and essentially it provides you ways to be able to read different pieces of code differently. Like for instance, if you write in a specific code style, it might make you write more bugs because of the fact that you have a lot more trouble reading and following along. However, if you have a diversity within that, um, it actually doesn't really matter. Like it forces everyone to kind of, um, like it's a really tough thing. Like you can essentially write code to a style. If the style's been enforced, write it to the style. However, if there's no style, just write it as is. And if someone's breaking your balls over it, I think that's a little bit like, honestly, I don't break people's balls over people's PowerShell scripts at work. Like, I will say there's a better way to do something in the sense that, for instance, if they're, writing, if they've got a massive one line command or they're using backticks or something like that, and I'll be like, hey guys, let's use splatting instead. Um, that, offering suggestions, but there's no real point to kind of break balls over coding style. I think that's just picking at semantics and, to be honest, a little egotistical. like it. like I review people's code all the time, and like yes, some people's code, and people are at different levels, and some people's code are, is not great, but it's not great because of the. It's not because it's not great because of the fact that there's a lack of um, code. Oh, it's a lack of making it look pretty. That comes with time. It's the fact that code could be written better. It could be refactored so that there's um, a better way of doing that same task, but it looks easier on the eye. It's easier to be read on the eye. So things like that is what I generally kind of focus on. But at the end of the day, though, I don't particularly care about people's coding styles, like unless it basically out affects the flow of code and if it can be written better. So yeah, that's really the way I see it. It's not, there's no real right or wrong answer, but the way, like, if you're breaking balls over semantics, there's like, and there's no code, like, there's no code standard, mate. Just be like, yeah, go write a code standard, and then I'll write to that. But if you're breaking my balls over it, then, mate, I don't care. Like, so anyway, so we're still gonna make this force this bug. So um, let's continue on. What we're going to try and do is try and find something in here which is going to force it. Um, from what I remember, it was an issue with PowerShell Core. Um, that was the issue that I found. And Edge. Those were kind of like there was a combination between the two. Um, like it's gonna find div, it's gonna find all that. um, I find it interesting that there's so much. Oh, they actually are writing a page correctly, though. Essentially, your HTML content always comes before your scripts. You want to deliver the content before anything else. But that pisses off all the people who want advertising on their sites because if you've got an ad blocker, it natively blocks it, and then you get the message that pops up and says, "Oh no, you have an ad blocker." And I think um, yeah, that's a essentially. I think people are going to start doing the reverse in the sense that they're not going to start offering scripts. Uh, they're going to start sticking scripts at the top of the HTML pack to block ads, or to test for blocked ads. But I'm going to tell you something. To be honest, I don't care if your site's got ads and it's basically saying we're not going to show you the content because you're blocking ads. That's your decision. At the end of the day, though, I choose not to be tracked, so that's my decision. Part ways. It's as simple as that. All right, let's try and. I think we're going to need to get a little more creative now. Just trying to find something that. Oh, SVG has a class. Let's see if we can pull it out of here. Let's try this. See if we can force an error here. Do we have a tag name? Oops. I've got the ever elusive bug. Um, oh boy. Yeah, there's a wrapped element. Well, how many are there? Oh, there's one. Oh, what's going on here? Why can't I get the actual... No, it's there. What type is it? Yeah, it's an SVG. You can see that's the XPath there. Oh my gosh. I have no idea why it's doing this. The only other thing I can think of is I know that this bug exists. If the Selenium doesn't return all the correct info, um, the other thing which I don't like about Selenium as well, this is actually a little bit of a rant, but um, is if we rerun this, um, you have to specify the exact attribute to go and fetch it. So there's no way to be able to actually just go and get the specific um, there's no way to get the specific, like enumerate the attributes. Essentially, you have to go and get the attributes. So um, that's a bit of a gripe of mine because it would make way better. Like essentially, we wouldn't have to do loose matching on a class, for instance. Um, and like the other thing is what happens if there's no class? That's the other issue. Is that what happens if there's no class? If there's no class, we're stuffed. So I think um, I think this is probably this is I essentially it's loose matching and it's not something that I like. Put it that way. Um, so what we're going to do is let's rewrite this into a switch statement. Um, I think the reason why is because we're going to need to have some other conditions that are going to need to be added in the future. So let's try and figure this out. So switch, so we get output. Now we can write the expression like so. Um, and because we're gonna have to break essentially um, I'm just gonna do a strict match. I'm just gonna add some just if there's an ID. Don't know. Don't know. And so, ooh, 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 ooh. Oh no 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 no. Put that down here. I'm gonna put that down here. Sorry, this is the one I wanted to pop in there. So I'm gonna break that. Let's now start getting creative. So we need to test output tag name. Um, um, that's what I'm thinking. It's not an interesting thought, actually. I'm just gonna write some quick PowerShell code. Let's just go var. Wondering whether this would be easier to write inside a sub-expression. I think it's going to be better to write under a sub-expression. So what we can do here, let's jump back to the code. What I'm going to do is rewrite this, make it a little bit better. Where did I put it? Find SEL. Here we go. So what we can do is instead of saying switch output and then having that, we can just go and then wrap that inside a sub-expression. Like so. We don't even need to pass it. We can just do that. That'll work. And then the idea here is to nudge all that in like so. And then essentially the only thing that we actually need to do is return to the pipeline like so. We don't even need to define the variable, which makes it a lot easier. A little bit more a little easier to read. Tag name, a loose match. Okay, so we've done that. And then what we need to do is have a default. Now, this is the interesting part. Do we continue on with the matching and saying that there's no match found? Or do we, do we essentially just return null? I have no idea. And essentially, do we continue with it? Or do we say it's null? Do we throw an error or do we say it's null? I would probably be leaning on the null because at the end of the day though, maybe we write a non-terminating error I think we leave it as null for the time being. Maybe we write a warning. Maybe a warning would probably be better. No, because it's essentially an error. It can't locate it. What's the best way to do this? I have no idea. I have absolutely no idea. I think I'm going to leave it null. I'm just trying to think what use case could it not match. Honestly, this is where we need telemetry because you'd essentially be able to log the actual the actual query that it's performing, and trying to be able to establish why it's actually causing that issue. What I'm interested in. Okay, so it won't write an error. Okay, this is what I'm going to do. Write error. We can just say write error, missing. Could not match HTML agility. Could not match the HTML. I think that's probably the better way to do it. I'm just going to turn this music down a little bit. There we go, and I can just turn it up on your side. Look at that. Alright, I think that's probably what we're going to have to do, which means we're going to need to do a bit of rewriting. Let me just quickly rerun this and see how we go. What's the output? We don't have any errors. We also have a wrap HTMLAgilityPack, so that's good. What are we going to need to do here? Let's just go ahead and drop a breakpoint here. Let's refresh that. Okay, cool. So, that's true. Okay, so what we're going to do, I'm thinking here we're going to just need to switch this up. We're just going to say no, not equal to. Let's just rerun that, make sure that still works. It's interesting how it runs it twice, and it's probably because of the fact that, is there two outputs? How is it? Why is it running twice? This is very interesting. Can I? It's only one item. But if you see here, we actually. Oh no. Okay. Huh. It. Okay. I don't know. All right. So for that, I think that's fine, which is good. Adding that output, which is great. We can write the thing. Now what we're going to need to do is cut that, drop that back into the module, replace that with that. Hopefully it's actually replaced it. Is it wrapped in a try? Yep, sweet, cool beans. Now the next thing that we need to do is we need to look for the specific object. Let's go ahead and what we can do here. Sorry, I'm just thinking out loud. We need to go and have a look at where is it? That. Let's go have a look here. So null HTMLAgilityPack was not loaded. Yep, okay, cool. So if there's a null there, I've already done the job. So if it's null, it's not loaded. Same thing for get SE child element. So if it's null, it ain't gonna work. I think that I'm gonna say HTMLAgilityPack was not loaded or could not be matched to this element. Let's just quickly go and have a quick squiz. That there. All right, let's see if, what other integrations can we build now? Like we've got the HTMLAgilityPack. I would love to be able to inject changes into the code. So can we update the source code in Selenium? Can we change the source code in Selenium? I know that you can add stuff, so there is a possibility that we could. And I want to be able to actually add a ability so we can actually inject whatever we want inside it and then effectively on the fly and then re-render the page. Not sure how we're going to do that yet, but we'll get there. All right. I think that's going to be over our head for a bit, but that's okay. So what we're going to do now, let's go ahead and restart the module. Yep, that's fine. Yep, edge is closed. Fantastic. Has it? Yep, it's closed. Why do I have two edges? Edge and edge. Unpin. Thank you. So let's go ahead and reload this. I think I'm going to also need to test this with all the different browsers. Start SE Edge. And we can just go to ABC News. Okay. Oh, okay. They withdrew the ambassadors. They knew about it. Anyway. Okay. Uh, uh, so, um, interesting fun fact about that is that the Prime Minister told the President, the Defense Minister, and the Foreign Affairs Minister before the deal took place. So, yeah. I think they basically getting all up and riled about it is they knew, but now they're just playing the political game, which is kind of funny. Uh, so yeah, so let's go ahead and go and find that element. Okay, cool. We got the element. Let's just do that. See what we get. We get nothing. Okay, cool. All right, let's. Um, okay, yeah. Wrapped HTMLAgilityPack element. So let's then just dump that in a val like so. And then what we can do is we can go, let's just go le, find se, element, get se, child elements, draw, element, val. What do we have in le? Pass-through not supported, GL is disabled. Nothing. That's not the response. Let's go and find some parent elements. So let's go get SE child. Let's get SE parent element val element. Yep, there we go. So we basically can go and start traversing the stack now, making it a little bit easier to get around in Selenium, making life just a little bit easier. Now, if I do the same thing, and I get the child element, let's just go child. That should basically get SE child elements, element ELE. We should have a child, which we do. How many do we have? One. Okay, cool. All right, so what we can do now is let's go and get the parent element again. The count. Yep, there should only be one parent. And what we're going to do is do the child get again, because I want to see if it returns multiple children. Not yet. Okay, right. Let's go and get something a bit more. Yeah. And at the end of the day, though, I know that people have a right to be upset, but at the end of the day, though, why am I? Yes. Oh, sorry. I was just literally doing the same thing, and I'm like, why is this not working? I want to get the elements. Thank you. I think the reason, like, especially with the whole France thing, Australia has got an awesome deal with the Yanks. With Australia, with the US being able to share nuclear technology with Australia, with the US being, you know, the technological leader, especially within submarine, like, and it just makes sense. And yes, we could have built nuclear submarines back in the day, but it's like you have, you know, and France has nuke subs, like that is definitely, you know, like something that they have. But I think it's, I think that I don't want to click on it. I just want to basically get the element. I think that there's a, I'm going to get this class here. I think that there's a specific, it's, you wait at the end of the day though, if you had the opportunity to, you know, like, put it this way, if we were building the Eurofighter and the Americans came to us and say, hey, we're going to allow you to build the F-22, you would go and build the F-22. Like, hands down, it's a superior airplane by far. It's that's the way I see it. It's kind of like we have the opportunity to be able to build a nuclear submarine from the market leaders in submarine development, there's going to be movement towards that. So Australia got an amazing deal. That's the way I see it. And I know that France is going to be upset, and it'll take time to recover, and that's fair enough. But at the same time, though, I'm like, mate, having Australian submarines that are basically, supported by the Yanks as well, with in the English that's really, really good. It's a really good outcome for Australia. Anyway, so what we're going to do is let's go and get some elements. So we're just going to get element. We're going to go find SE element, driver. What do you guys think? Always up for a discussion. It's always interesting to hear people's opinions. Okay, so we have a value must evaluate to a node set, but it did. So it can't get a div, that's why. So it can't get that div. It's got to give something else. Really? Alright, let's just get... What do we got here? We got a list item. Okay, let's just get this class here. Let's get that class. An expression must evaluate to a node set. But it is. Kidoki. Alright, so why is this? Compound class names are not allowed, cannot have white spaces. Use CSS select this instead. Expression must evaluate to a node set. Well, it's not because of matching, put it that way. Alright. Let's go back here. Let's go find something else. We've already tried that one. This is a pain in the backside because I just want to be able to get something. I'm gonna try and go and find not a div but something like a H3 that'll work. Let's try that. Next thing you know, it's all broken. No idea why it's not playing ball. I'm just going to restart the driver because I have no idea what's going on here. Probably because start SEH. Go ahead and refresh it. Maybe see news. Alrighty, so let's now go and try and find an element again. Why is it not working? The driver's working. Now we can't get anything. What on earth is going on? Let's just go and have a look at this. Oh my god. whatever, France. You knew about it. It doesn't have any... Oh, how about that? We've got some content there. See if we can actually fetch that. The only thing I can think of is that it's my code that's breaking it. So it's having trouble finding... let's just rerun this. I think it could be because of this. Oh, let's try put it there. Yeah, it is my code. That's what I thought. So that's the XPath query. Oh my gosh, what is going on here? Oh my gosh. Okay, yes, it is my code. Okay, great. We need to figure out why. And the reason why is because I'm using output. It should be $_. Nah. So these all need to be changed to $_. Let's go ahead, rerun this. We'll just shove that on top and then see how we go now. And that should fix our issues. We'll look at our XPath query. There we go. Look at that. Look at that. And it's fixed. Yeah. Let's just go ahead and reload our module and apply that change. Okay, so we just need to go and find SE element. But anyway. Okay, let's go ahead and reload that module. Go ahead and reload our driver. Just go to the ABC News. Let's open up 12. Go and grab a class. While we're waiting on that, let's go ahead and do that, and that. Hooray! What's our count? 91. Cool. Cool beans, cool beans, cool beans, cool beans. Okay, so let's select the first one. We've got something here. So what we're going to do is just call this A. We're just going to go A, get SE child elements, element A. Oh God, that's awful. Okay, invalid selector, unable to locate our element with XPath expression, blah, 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 because the following error, failed to execute evaluate on document. The string is not a valid XPath expression. Okie dokie. Okay. Let's go and have a look at that. I don't think it has a problem with it. I think it's, oh, we will find out. We'll find out. Okay, so that's find SE element, wrapped driver XPath. And that is getting a text item. So let's go have a look at that. Should probably commit this soon too. Get child elements. Yeah, so what it's doing is essentially it's going and fetching the XPath values and then using find SE element to go and get those XPath. So we can actually just grab this. And say, I think the reason why is because, well, we'll find out. We'll find out. So we can go find SE element, driver. We can just pass the full driver in there. We can just go and have a look at it, the XPath. Okay, cool. All right, let's step it back. It's not a valid XPath expression. But that's what's returned from the... That's why. So if there's... that is a valid XPath, but because... let's actually go and find the specific... because of that... try that. Yep, get rid of that. Let's just do this. Child node is a text. That's why. What's the text? But what's under A anyway? Like, how does it handle A? So it's a header 3. Okay, so it's a header 3, but it doesn't have any text in it. But if we have a look at the wrapped HTMLAgilityPack and go child node, we can see that there's a child called, yeah, it's a text node. So anything that's essentially a text node and things like that need to be the Selenium doesn't manage. It can only fetch divs and things like that. So what we need to do what we're going to need to do, so if we go a dot wrap the child nodes dot XPath, we have that value. So we need to write a regex expression to test for that specific value. So if it's an actual a text or anything with a hash, and it needs to be excluded from the search. Or we return the parent and then you have the risk of duplicates. Ooh, tough one. Oh, this is a tough one. Okay, let's open up our regex test. I might as well just do it in here. Let's just go regex tester. Regex tester. And what we can do is just chuck that in there. Grab our string because there's nothing wrong with that. What we're going to do is have a way. So I'm thinking I could literally just do a it really needs to be at the end of the string though. That's the thing. It needs to be at the end of the regex string. So I could literally go like and then go and that would essentially perform the match, but we want it to be at the end of the string. So we need to group this. What I'm going to do is just do. So we're going to split it into groups. I'm just thinking out loud how I'm going to do this. Let's start of the screen. A word boundary. I don't think we can use word boundaries. Start a string. Way. Reverse the block. Might be able to use a word boundary. Let's firstly put a word boundary in. So let's just say /b /g. What's /g? Greedy? Global. Okay. Interesting thing is why is that not a word boundary? Maybe. So if we say slash, that's your boundary there, then why is it not causes... okay, so it's going to match the first one. Word boundaries are odd. Matches without consuming any characters, immediately the character matched by the word boundary character and not by... cannot be used to separate words or non-words from words. Okay. Can I use end of string? /z. Z's there. And I could say we could say that plus we could probably, instead of using word plus, we could just say single character any single character, any white space character, we could say there we go. Essentially, go and get me any character at the end. Alright, then let's test it to see what happens here. That works. We can't use any character. We're going to have to use specific characters. So what we could actually say is could say A to Z. Up to 9. Just looking at what we can use here. 0 or more, exactly 3 or more. Okay, we could say Z, wrap that. Also need to have any of the following characters. Any of the following characters. So we can say say 1 0 to 9, something along those lines. Oops, I'll probably put that like that. Okay, what's it not liking about that? Incomplete group structure. Okay, because I probably need to close this like that. Matches the character with the index. can just keep in that. So it matches the character present unlimited times. AZ matches character within the range. Yep. Matches the character, matches the character. 0 to 9. Maybe 0 to 9 has to be in here. Yep. That's it. Problem is, and then we can have to say, let's just wrap that. And also say, well, let's get rid of that. That works. That's the problem that I'm going to try and get rid of. What I'm going to say is not that. Still broken. What's it say? Matches the character. No, I don't really want to do that. We can just say here. Not that character. I think there a word boundary. Start string. I kept that. Let's just end of the line. Yep. That still does it. We're going to use that for the time being. So what we're going to do is now we're just going to come back to here and we're going to filter out objects. And we're just going to say that is matching, is not matching that. Exclude all like so. Let's just go ahead and reload this. Go ahead and copy that path. Oh, import module path. Import module path. Okay, cool. driver. Oh, let's do this. Start SE like so. Then we can go. So we can go here. Honestly, we don't. Yeah, we just go ABC News because that was just something that we wanted to go get the content from. What we can do here is just go grab that. Quickly. I'm gonna find a text. I'm gonna find a text. Is there a text here? Paragraph. Let's just try it. Let's try this. Driver. Hang on, give me a second. Sorry, I'm just going to quickly jump AFK. I just need to check on my daughter. I think she might have had a fall. I just need to see what's going on. Alrighty, I'm back. Yeah, my wife was feeding her breakfast and she got pins and needles in her foot, so she is quite scared about that. Okay, let's keep carrying on. So we're just going to basically say it doesn't match in that. Do I have my driver? I think I have my driver, don't I? Yes, I have a driver. Good. Okay, so what we're going to need to do is we're going to then go and find that specific text element. That's what we're going to do. What's something that we can find? It just needs something. What was it? What we had before? Actually, maybe I could just go and find something before. Yeah, we just use this. So let's go and get that. And then what we can do is let's go and get the child elements. So we can go get child, find, get SE, child elements, draw element, AAA. Okie dokie. Couldn't find that element? Maybe it couldn't find that element. Okay, so let's just back out then. And let's just grab it here. Is it there? Hooray! Okay, cool. Alright, so what we can do now. I think that's working. Okay, let's go and get the top level something. Let's get something super top level. Let's get something really top level like this. And we'll just call it BBB equals find SE element. SE element, driver, CSS, BB. Okay, cool. This is the problem, is that try link. I don't know. I don't know why it's doing this. I don't know. No idea why it's now deciding that that specific class is not happy with. Gosh, this is frustrating. I just thought of another integration we can work on, where we can just basically search on text. But I actually think Selenium already does that, so we will just skip that for the time being. Not even finding anything now. What is broken with this? Is it because I'm going to run this? No, it's not finding anything. But actually finding anything at all. Absolutely zilch. There's content there. Just grab this one. Let's just go and have a look at this. Can we get just something? Fantastic. Oh no, we still don't know yet. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. What is going on now? I'm gonna restart this again. Get some really weird behavior happening here. Actually, we'll still use SE Edge. We're just going to use Google now just to simplify it a little bit more. F12, DevTools, let's just go and grab. Just go and grab that. I have no idea why it's not actually finding anything. Is there a target? There's a target. Is there a CSS? There's a CSS. What's the parameter set name to that? It was. Did it actually call the CSS? Why did it call the method? It ran the method. Frustrating. Frustrating. try something else. It's away. I don't think this is going to work, but I don't need that. I don't think this is going to work, but we'll see. Alrighty, so if that didn't work, we need to, I'm just going to restart everything. Hopefully that fixes it. I'm hoping this fixes it because it's not very fun when you got to troubleshoot things like this. Okay, let's just go ahead and do a quick DevTool lookup. Oh, I have no idea why it's not deciding to not work. Try a different browser. No, can't find it. Why can't it find the element? Let's try that. Okay. All right, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to restart Visual Studio Code. Let me just close that. No, we're going to kill that. I'm just going to bounce VS Code. Give me a sec. Alrighty. Let's give this another go. See if this finds it now. I hope this works. It'll be nice. We'll see though. We will see. Come on. Come on, come on, come on, come on, come on, come on. I have no idea why it's not working anymore. It was working before. It's within here. It's not even able to do a class name. Maybe just try it. Maybe it's because I was using CSS and not class name. That could probably be the reason why. And if it is, wow, it could be the case. I just saw that there was a by class name, and I was thinking, oh god, I think I was right. Yay. Considering that it's hung, suggests to me that it's returning it. Okay, all right. Well, if that's the case, let's go and get the parent. If we've got the element, let's go and get the parent. Get SC parent element. Hopefully we don't get any errors, and then we're going to basically hit all the children. Children get SE child elements element parent. Fingers crossed we don't get any errors, because it should be filtering out anything that has tags, and we should be getting a hell of a response. All right, let's have a look. We got 3. It's better than nothing, but we got 3. And it looks like the gecko driver is a bit flaky. It's a bit slow. So that's something that will need to be looked at. Still waiting for it to go through each of them. Okie dokie. Smoky. Okay, cool. All right. So that's done. I'm just looking at by link text. I wonder if it has, it's got by link text. I'm just interested now. Can we search by partial link text or text? So let's just try. What's something? Let's just do a quick search on PowerShell. And let's just search on this. So what I'm going to do is go element, find SE element, driver, slash link text. I think it's going to be able to find this. So my idea is to introduce an additional one with the HTMLAgilityPack, which effectively is able to search text, which should be pretty cool. Let's try partial link text. And we can do that today. Partial link text. Okay, cool. So the way that we're going to have to do that is OpenQA Selenium by. Where is OpenQA Selenium by? Assemblies, WebDriver. I have a sneaky suspicion it's tucked into the into here, into the WebDriver. Let's see if there's a class. Are there classes in here? No, it don't look like it. Doesn't look like there's a type of class. Okay, so what we're going to need to do, we're going to need to write a function which essentially is going to be able to search XPath. How do we want to do this? I think I might use XPath. I could use the HTMLAgilityPack, but I could probably use XPath. I don't want that. I don't want that. Don't want that. We could probably search XPath. I'm just thinking how. I need to jump on the XPath cheat sheet. I could say contains the problem is it's searching for a specific element type, but I want the inner HTML. I've never done that before. XPath search for text. Could say text is equal to hello. Okay, can we just use the text method to retrieve both following XPath will. Honestly, this is what drives me nuts about pop-ups. Imagine the following XML, the following XPath expression, text hello, will return hello element, but not the another element. Yeah, that's because another element contains white space surrounding the hello text. Okay, so to retrieve both element and another, one could use normalized space text hello. With this, we'll trim the surrounding white space before the comparison. You can see the text no specifier. Yep. To find an element containing specific text, use the contains function. This will return the example element. Oh my gosh, my daughter's crying again. Give me a second, sorry, I'm just going to be back. All right, I'm back. Yeah, it's more pins and needles. So I think let's following expression will turn the example. I think we're just going to use contains hello and then see what happens. So we're going to go back and find SE element, and what we're going to add here is we're going to create a parameter set name. We're going to call it text. Like so. And then what we can do here is we can just essentially do parameter set name is equal to by text, and we can inject this and we can say target element equals by XPath. So essentially we're going to use a custom XPath query here, and what we're going to say is we're going to say everything that contains text hello. Contains text, and then we're going to wrap the text inside of that, wrap that like so. Contains text. So all we're going to do is load up that function, and let's then go find SE element, driver, text. So text, yep. Just search PowerShell. Nothing. Wildcarded. Okay, nothing. So I'm just going to drop a breakpoint here, and we're just going to have a bit of a play around. It could be because I'm not. Oh, I know why. Actually, even in this area. Do this. Basically say like that, reload that. We need to change the string. Basically wrap that like that, relaunch that. Cool beans, and we can just run this now to find out if it returns anything. Let's see how we go. Absolutely diddly squat. There a text? Yep, we got text. I'm just going to get rid of the wildcarding. It doesn't like wildcards. That could be a reason why. While waiting on that, just want to have a quick look at this. Well, we got something back. PowerShell documentation. Looks like it's working. Yep, that's working. Now the problem with this is that we are going to need to set the XPath so what I'm going to do here is we're going to refactor this code a little bit so that it effectively will upset the XPath variable, because we're going to need that variable to actually build out our HTMLAgilityPack add-on. Wait for this to finish. All right, cool. All right, so what we're going to do is stop that. Oops, didn't want that. What did I click? Great. I didn't want to do any compares or anything. So what we're going to do is put XPath in here, and we're going to wrap that string over here, and we can just do our XPath lookup that way. So now we've added that functionality so that XPath will then do text searching. Hooray! Which makes it so much easier now. So what we can do, hopefully Firefox driver hasn't crashed. Let's just go and reload this. And what we're going to do is we're just going to search for a specific string. Let's look for that. Let's look for management framework from Microsoft. So we're just going to rerun this, get rid of all the breakpoints. There should be any breakpoints around here. Excuse me. Fix up that bug up there. So that fixed that. So what we can do is reload that, go find SE element. Driver, oops. Driver, and then we can go text. We can paste, not that. Let's just search for the word management framework. There we go. Let's just look for that. That's all we're looking for. Can it find it? That is the question. Okay, it didn't find it. Is the driver still working? We got issues with the driver. Because I did can't like Control-C it, so it could be that we've broken the driver. Firefox is a little temperamental. So what are we going to do? We're going bin that. Bin the shell. Let's reload it. Path, import module, paste that in. Load that. Driver. Start SE Edge. Let's go to Google. Search PowerShell. Let's do this. So now we can go element, find SE element, driver, oops, driver, text, element. No data, no dice. Alrighty, what we're going to do now is see if I've broken something. Let's just drop a breakpoint here. Okay, what's my XPath? Talk to me, Goose. That's my XPath. Okay, cool. Alright, so that's a valid XPath. Let's change the XPath. And we're going to put some wildcarding in here. I don't think that's going to make a difference. Oh, shoot. Contains. Let's go ahead, rerun that. Oh boy. Oh boy. I think I might have just broken the driver. Yes, 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 yes. Come on. Come on, come on, come on, come on. Yep, I've killed it. That's alright. Go ahead and reload it. Yep. Add in features. Yes, we are. We gotta be adding features to make it easier. Alrighty. Let's load that in. Absolutely zilch-a-rooney. Okay, let's clean that up then. I thought it would be able to find it. Then why didn't I find it the first time? I have no idea what's... Okay, so it's found it. Oh, because it's from and got target element there. Fair dinkum. That's why. So it was finding it the whole time. I just stuffed it up. Okay. Let's bounce it. This should fix it now. So let's go ahead and import. Let's go ahead and start our driver. Let's go ahead and search Google and just type PowerShell. And then we can basically come back and say element. Oh boy, okay. Oh yeah, because of that. So we need to launch that. Find the element, get the element. Look at that. That's cool. How many have we got? 3. We found 3. What do we have? Let's have a look. We've got 3 items. Yep, definitely 3 items in there that basically have that. Okay, cool. So I think that's pretty much it in terms of features that we can add for the moment. This is definitely going to make life a little bit easier for people now. So what we're going to do is bin that, shrink that down. What we're going to do... That's fine. We're going to... PSX path, I'm just going to have to get ignore. Find us the element, we can add that to a get ignore. And what we want to do is update find SC element, and we're going to raise a PR. And that will be that. And see what people think of it. Find SE element. Replaced with lots of new changes. The push. The publish. And finally, time to raise a PR. I'll just quickly jump on GitHub. I'm sure I don't have anything there that I don't really want. Branch is this? Did I fork this one? Yeah, I did. Selenium PowerShell. Okay, well, it's contribute. This branch is not a. Okay, so I'm going to raise a pull request. When was the last commit added to this? January 19th, 2020. Last one was done here was on March the 8th. What is going on with these branches? We're just going to go into the develop. Parent pull request. I'm just going to integrate it to development. HTMLAgilityPack. Adding the HTMLAgilityPack. With a module to improve search ability and functionality. Improve searchability, improve search and functionality. Features added. Retrieves, fetches HTML elements. Fetches Selenium elements, Selenium objects. Selenium objects. Is the parent. Is the children. Yeah. Objects. Fetch a Selenium child. Selenium objects. Property. Updated. Unrelated. Updated findacy element to search for text strings. Let's just say it's let's just quickly go and grab a quick link from the HTMLAgilityPack. HTMLAgilityPack. Is there anything else I need to add? Allow edits from maintainers, which is perfectly fine. Okay, cool. All right. Oh, sorry, I've literally just saw your messages. Have you ever terminated an Ethernet cable with an RJ45 connector keystone jack? Yes. I'm disappointed that they changed the look of Cold Snack. This isn't Cold Snack. This is um, this is I've actually changed it. Cold. I've actually modded it. It's a variant of 1984. And essentially, I just changed. The one thing I changed was the commenting. So the commenting was a little too light, so I darkened that. But apart from that, it's a variant of Cold Snap. But I actually like this a lot more. It's just a little bit easier to read. Um, this looks quite tedious. Yes, it is. Is the module is this module the Selenium module from the PowerShell gallery? Yes. That's great that you're doing this. Thank you. Fetches, not fetches. Thank you. Um, fetches. This the one thing that is worrying me a bit at the moment is yeah, the one issue that's worrying me is that the HTMLAgilityPack integration is this I don't this Git repo is shocking. You have the master branch, which is nicely structured, then you have the development branch, which is what production is based off, and it's just all over the shop. So yeah, if you go back through my previous streams, you'll see that I had to rewrite a lot of my code so that it would work with the development branch because that was what was used in production. So let's go ahead and create a PR and see how we go. Actually, I've got to make a quick edit. Where we test in prod, oh mate, 100%. Let me see if I can find. I just want to see if I can get a find this element, partial link text. I'm just trying to find a quick. Oh, if they want further info, we can publish it. Oh, yeah. If they want further info, we can publish it. We'll just see that. See how we go. And let's see if they're going to be. See if they're going to actually integrate it, because it's pretty cool. Oh, it is. It is. Give me 2 secs. Have you ever? Let me go and grab a couple of tools, and I'll quickly show you RJ45 connected keystones. So give me 2 secs, and I will be back. Okie dokie. So what we have here is, so traditionally when you're terminating with RJ45, you would use one of the Chrome punch down tools. But I don't really want to use this one, but anyway, let's open it up. So essentially, on your Crohn's, you have, like, it is so super easy. You have your A and your B. So if you can see, I'm just going to try, hopefully, see if you guys can see that. You basically have your A's on the outside, and where the black is kind of here, that's your B's. So basically, essentially, that's where you put your twisted pairs. But rather than punching it down manually, which, yeah, rather than punching them down manually, I just want to import a quick termination. So essentially, it comes with, hang on, let me just lock that back up again. It comes with, where is it? It's got to come this way. It comes with 2 types of terminations. So you have, on the side here anyway, you have cat6a, so I can terminate cat6a. And then on here, I have cat6. And so essentially the way it works, I'm not going to actually terminate, I'm just going to take off the safety plug. You can see, get that out. You can see there's a whole bunch of metal inside there, and that basically just literally terminates it in one go. So what you do is you basically get all your wires straight. You get all your wires, and basically what you do is, I mean, it can only go in one way as well. You literally just plug it in. Actually, I think it's the other way. Whoops. It'll tell me because it won't click in. Which way? Yep. So only go in one way, which I believe it's this way. So we just basically slot it in. Slot it in. And once it's slotted in, you can basically, you've got your wires hanging out the side, the front here, and then you just go clamp it down, and that will basically punch down all of them. And then obviously on the edge here, you've got those blades, and that'll automatically cut them all as well. And then when you're done, you've got a little button on the back there. You can just push it up, and that will basically pop it out, and then you have a terminated tool. Super easy. This thing cost me about 120 bucks, but I can tell you right now, it's the best 120 bucks I've ever spent. Like hands down. Like terminating with a Chrome punch down tool, it just takes too long. This thing I could terminate so quickly. Yeah. Favorite tool. Favorite tool is my quick gun. And like I've got yeah, that's one of the things when we wired up the house was that a lot of those tools you had to go and buy again. Like I had an old punch down, and it was just so bad that I just didn't know what to do with it. So I kind of just I just kind of thought, well, if I'm going to be, you know, I've had to terminate. I terminated all the faceplates, and the electrician terminated all the. He terminated the patch panel, and I'm glad that I did the faceplates with that because I would have been there all day. Though the electrician with the patch panel literally got the patch panel, got some tape, put it on the wall, taped it to the wall upside down, brought the cable down, whack, 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 whack. Next one, whack, 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 and it literally was done, like so quickly. It was so great to have. So, um, yeah, and and this is the Cat 6A one. I'll see if I can slide it out because I don't want to break it. Like, but I'm pretty sure you can just. There's like a thing we can. There's like a clip in there that you just pop out. Actually, you can. Yeah, but basically, like this one, actually can see it better there. But essentially, you got your punch down there, and then you got your cuts there. So, and then you get this nice little safety rubber that you put on there, so you don't kill yourself when you put it in your toolbox, and it doesn't dull the blades. So, yeah, definitely recommend getting one of these. If you're in Australia, Heyman's have got them. Let me just jump onto. So if we jump onto Heyman's, this is like my favorite place to go to. It's like my equivalent of Bunnings. I'll just quickly search quick. Chrome. Product type. Come on. Don't tell me they don't have them anymore. Computer case. No. Cabinets, physical infrastructure. God's sake. Data, physical infrastructure. Oh yeah, and another quick tip is if you're going to actually, this is something. I'm just trying to find that punch down tool. Yeah, go and get yourself some termination plugs if you need when you're terminating. I'll show you the reason why you use those. If you're using Cat 6A to terminate is quite easy. How do you align all the cables without them falling out though? Oh, that's easy. So when you put your cables in, um, into your keystone, essentially you can put them, you can already get them into, like, pull them down into the teeth already. And that basically, like, it doesn't have to be, like, you don't have to go super hard into it, but you only need to pull it in just a little bit. And that's enough to hold it in position while you can actually get the quick termination tool on there. A couple of the times it'll take, to get your head around it, but once you get the hang of it, it's actually really good. Um, but if you're terminating 6A, 6A is actually really easy to terminate. It's way easier to terminate a 6A than it is to do pretty much 6. And that's because of the nature of the shielding. However, terminating 6A, like putting shielding on your 6A um, is really hard. And and 6A is from a, it's really costly. So because, like, unless, and then the other thing is if you're not planning, like, if your cable runs are less than if your cable runs are less than 30 meters, you can run 10 gigabit over them. You just got to make sure that they're good cables. You don't need to run cat 6A, and the cat 6A is really thick. Like, it's like a really thick cable, and it's not fun to work with, especially in ceiling spaces. So with Cat 6A though, is that because it essentially has a drain wire on it for EMI. If that drain wire needs to be grounded, and that needs to be grounded all the way back to the patch panel. So essentially, um, your Ethernet cable from the back of your computer needs to be 6A, and it's basically the outside sheath of the Ethernet is essentially is metal, and that's because that's the component that's grounding. And then from that, it basically goes into the wall, which has got to be 6A, which then basically is terminated, which obviously it goes to a cable, which is 6A, all the way to the patch panel. And then the patch panel needs to be a 6A patch panel, which basically has the grounding, so it has an earth from that. And it's actually really great was that my electrician, he did a solid when he built my house. I was so happy. Like, he didn't even have to do this. He just did it. Like, he saw my patch panel and just thought, "Oh, I'll do this." He actually went and dragged a separate earth line. Um, he just dragged a separate earth into my for my patch panel, so I could actually earth my patch panel out, which is so cool. Like, he didn't have to do that. Like, the electricians who wired my house up did an amazing job. Like, and they weren't the usual ones. They were like guys who do like commercial businesses. So when they did the residential, they literally like did such a solid. Like, I was so impressed. Um, like, there was just the little things that they did and really made my day. So like, they were using Clipsal. Like, I said, hey, when I spoke to the builder was saying, "Hey, we're going to use Ellie Grand for our switches," and I'm like, "Oh, I really don't want to use Ellie Grand." And then I remember walking around, I was like, "Well, I'm not buying Ellie Grand, like face plates. That's just not happening. I'm going to be using Clipsal." So I went around and I bought all my Clipsal face plates and everything. And then I walked around the house when they were starting terminating, and then they were like, "Hey, that's all Clipsal gear." And he's like, "Yeah, that's the only stuff we put in." And I was like, "Shoot!" So all my face plates are exactly the same, which is absolutely fantastic. So give me a second, and I'm gonna go grab the RJ45 jacks. So I really love these. These are I finally figured out how to actually properly use them, but these are your standard, RJ45, um, like these are your standard clips. However, there's one difference, and they're very expensive in Australia to get the pass-through ones, but essentially what they do is they come with these kinds of, I would say it's like um, a cable comb, and essentially you stick your four pairs in there, and then like you measure your cable, you get your cable length, and then basically you go, okay, cable's this long, and then you cut off a little bit on the end. Then you stick your cable pairs in there, and you get them all nice and straight and happy. Make sure that all the lengths are basically passing through, and then what you do is you just get your side cutters, cut that off, so that then all the cable lengths finish at the end there, and then basically what you do is you just slot the cable in. I'm not going to do it, but you basically slot it in here, and then you just basically push this to the very end like so, like right up to the very end there, and then basically you just crimp it down, and it's so much easier because you're doing all the fiddly work out here. And if you, because it has the pass through capability, you don't have to worry about all the like, is the cable going to meet there or not. So yeah, um, yeah, I've yet to terminate an RJ45 jack. I terminated two Cat 6 keystones yesterday. Oh, mate, I'm going to say, if you ever wire up your house, like, to be honest, terminate, like, as long as you follow the guide, like, if you follow A or B, standardize on it. Like, so I had a chat with my electrician. I said, mate, we're standardizing on A. That's what we're going with. Don't wire anything else up otherwise, and don't do anything that is not standard. So like I've seen some people basically wire up with basically just like don't actually do the crossover twist. So essentially they're going like um, blue striped, green striped, orange striped, brown striped, and then basically just having this essentially pass through. So it was yeah, it's like at the end of the day, though, whether you use an A or B, it doesn't really matter as long as the standard's being followed. That's really it. But quick termination tool makes my day. And then yeah, using these bad boys, they really yeah. And if you really want to get some of those tools, like I'm gonna tell you right now, this is like one of these tools. It's like an investment. Like I'm not going to use it all the time, but I still got stuff to do. And if I ever need to go and terminate somewhere else, I've got the tools needed to be able to do that. So go to Heyman's and just go and buy some. Like the quick termination tool, and like if you have like when I was working at one of the non-profits, essentially I had a little toolbox which basically had tone tester, it had cable tester, it had termination tools, it had all the tools needed. If I needed to go and do something or make a cable or something, I could. Like it's very rarely happened, but tone tester was probably the most important one, and I found it pretty like, and it was like it's just those little things that make yeah make it a lot easier. So, and like they say, you can buy a tool and you might not use it for 10 years, but at the same time though, that tool is probably like is just incredibly awesome. Like it's a valuable asset. The other thing which is really hilarious is I had this cable tester and I can't find it anymore. Like I just couldn't find it. It was amazing. Like so the old school cable test, like the cable tester that I had previously was like um, it was probably the same size as my pocket knife here. You basically had like the main part on the left here, on the left here. Actually, I'll just do it over here. So you had the main part on the left, or the right here for your side or left, and then basically on this side you had like the breaker part where you can plug it into the other end, and it used a tiny little battery. But what happened was, um, all you had to do was you plugged it in the other end, and then you go to your main end and you just press the button and it'll just go and then it'll basically tell you which ones was broken, and it would cost me like 30 bucks, and I got this like $80 U-Butte tester, and it just doesn't do that. It literally just goes, like you literally have to have two people at both ends going 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8, and then you go to that end. Like you didn't even need to do that. Like if there was a break on the other end, it would tell you. And so it was like, oh, those were the days. Those were the days. Yeah, I wasn't using a cable tester, just plugged it in a router and checked the PC receiving IP. Probably not the best way to do it. Yeah, I saw Linus do that and I was thinking, oh, yeah, you can plug it in if you want. Like routers and switches are smart enough these days, but um, if there's like a miswiring or something like that, you can blow it up. So like if you're following the standard, it's fine. But like if you've got some Joe blows not knowing what you're doing and he just plugs that in, you could blow something up on both ends, and that's not cool. So yeah. But anyway, I'll see if I can, yeah, go and check out, I'll see if I can find a really, yeah, like go and check it out. Like there's really good cable testers out there. And like, yeah, in 10 gigabit, um, have you ever seen anything blow up? No. I have had seen switch ports blown up though, from other reasons, but it's just that, yeah, I try not to blow up switch ports, and I kind of make sure. Like, I just think it's a test that I would do before, and it's like, yeah. Um, the other thing I was going to say is, yeah, in 10 gigabit Ethernet. So, like right now, this computer is running on 10 gigabit Ethernet, and um, I've got jumbos enabled in the network and the MTUs configured to 9,000. So, and my router is configured to 9,000. So it's accepting jumbo. It's effectively able to accept fragmented packets. Um, you don't need, okay, on Windows, jumbo frames sucks. And 10 gigabit sucks. And the reason why is because like it might not be the computer or the throughput. It's just that like I can't get the proper test equipment. You basically get better. You get 10 gigabit better on Linux than you get on Windows. Um, but when running speed tests with 9K jumbos between my wife's computer and mine, basically my wife's computer, my computer, and the NAS all have 10 gigabit Ethernet, and they're basically sitting on the 10 gigabit switch. Um, that essentially, I can get throughput for about 6 to 7 gigabit with 9K jumbos through that. Now that's using iPerf. I've got to actually go and use something else that's probably not iPerf. But yeah, we'll see. I might do some more testing in the future. And to the NAS, I've actually got to go and get some bigger disks for the NAS. And like the NAS is pretty slow at the moment because it's still got some old 5400s in there. But once I can actually get some high-speed SSDs in there, that will actually make our NAS actually a little bit more happier. So um, they have good internet speeds in Australia. Um, we consider good internet speeds. So I'm on 100 down, 40 up. That's all I need. I don't really want anything faster. Okay, so actually I've got to kind of take a step back. So there's multiple different networks and technologies that are in use there. You have fiber optic to the house, which is provided by a network called NBN, which is the National Broadband Network. It's basically high-speed fiber, and it has three variants. It has fiber to the house, it has VDSL, and then it has it basically has HTFC or HTCC, HTTC or something, which essentially is just the cable equivalent. And with that, you can get like with fiber optic, you get what you can get. Like it's essentially full speed all the time, provided that they have the backhaul capacity. So during peak times, I pay for 100 40, so that's 100 down, 40 up. I get during peak times 98. During non-peak times, I actually sometimes burst up to 200. So that's great. With what's it called? With the other ones like VDSL and things like that, that's essentially just the generation 2 of ADSL too. So it's actually generation 3 of ADSL, which is not that great. With an 8 pair on VDSL, you can get about 50 megabit, maybe a little bit more. It's obviously latency is pretty rubbish. It's what you're going to get over copper, and it's just similar to HFC or whatever the other coax equivalent is. It's basically, yeah. G'day, BW, how you going, mate? And then outside of that, we have all these other networks that are provided by ISPs. You have, like 5G and all that, but most people should be on the NBN. And with the NBN, you do get like specific speeds. So like I'm with Lawntel at the moment. And so they do some really like essentially you pay by the day with Launtel, which is really cool. So you can actually adjust your speed for the day use. So if I'm having a LAN party, I can basically turn on full speed and then basically just let it roll. And the other thing which is really funny about Australian internet is that depending on the service provider, so if you've got the major telcos like Telstra and Optus, um, they're really, really, yeah, it's a really smart idea. My idea is that in the future is I want to be able to write a DSC module that basically can maintain my internet speed for me. So if I'm really hammering the network, it can basically automatically scale up and scale down the usage. So if there's no traffic traveling over the network, it might actually turn it right down. And because of that, you get billed by the day. It means you save a lot of money, and you can use that money that you save and recoup it for times when you actually need it more. So it kind of gives you that variability. But the the other ISPs, they basically say, hey, yeah, we're going to offer you, like 100 megabit on the fiber, but their backhaul capacity is absolute trash. And so during peak times, they just all fall like you'll get like 80 megabits, and I'm like, and this is somehow considered accepted, and I'm sitting here going, if you're paying for 100, you should be getting 100. There should be no like, oh, we can't offer that. And the reason why is because they oversubscribe their service. That's why. What's the response time to speed requests? 10 minutes. Sounds like you want to scale it down by our. The thing is you can't scale, like it's a day rate billing, so essentially you have to gamble on the day, unfortunately. So if you set it for like super slow speeds during that day, that's what you're going to be paying for that following day as well. So it's a little bit of mucking around there. Excuse me. But the with the speeds with Launtel, what I pay for with fiber is what I get, and that's one of the reasons why. And it's like, yeah, like they have a really really good thing. Okay, let's just let's go for a Zilmi, because I know Zilmi has let's just go 15 Zilmi Road 5 to the premise NBN. I don't know who this is. I literally just grabbing some random. And you can see here, so this is fiber. So this is basically directly to the door. You can get fastest speed you can get is 1,400. They say 600 typical evening speed. That's not the case. They have backhaul. So yeah, it's really really quite cool. I have HFC. It's fine, but over late I find I need to reboot the MBU modem once often. Yeah, that's the thing with fiber is we just don't do it. I'm so fortunate. I've got fiber out here in the new estate. Like it's just such a great technology. Like, and the thing is that if they want to, like, the NTDs can push gigabit, um, but there is already like, and like I wasn't surprised when I saw this was basically, um, well, I was on fiber to the prem off. I was on VDSL before that, and it was absolutely shocking. And then I just like, and when I was in the rental, I couldn't even stream. So I was basically, because I was on 3G, um, the owner basically wasn't going to pay for the NBN install, and I wanted the NBN install, and I was like, well, I'm not going to pay $300 to get the install for like 3 months. Like it's just not cost effective. Just to stream, it's just there's no reason to do that. So we just left it. But yeah, I was on VDSL before that, and it was absolutely rubbish, like rubbish. There was, yeah, like, yeah. That's one of the reasons why I'm happy with getting fiber out here, because like latency is nothing now. And the beauty about fiber is that, and they've already, like I was about to say this before, they were already updating the they're updating the they're already updating the transceivers. So they're going to be making service offerings soon, I believe, with 5 gigabit. And that's the thing with like, you got like HFC or whatever, and like, VDSL too. there's only a certain amount you can start pushing over that line before it it's going to get to that point. The problem that I'm finding at the moment though is that if I wanted to actually get gigabit and run that over a firewall with proper, like services turned on, that is some serious compute. So what I'm actually doing is I'm actually there's a site you call ProtoCase. You can actually design your own cases. So what I was doing was I was looking at this case. I'm actually just going to build myself a tiny little 1RU box. 1RU short. This one here. Essentially you need a really good processor to be able to push gigabit. So I'm like with services turned on. So I'm like, well, I'll get one of these bad boys. Like this is really cool. Like these are really, really cool case. It's where's the dimensions? 9.84 9.84 inches. So that's roughly like 25 centimeters deep. And my rack is 30. So this is tiny. You can see it's just jam packed. But the problem with it is that the back here doesn't have a PCIe slot. So if I put a motherboard in here, I want to be able to actually have, if I'm going to run a router on, I'm probably going to run a couple of VMs on it as well. I need a PCIe slot. So I was kind of mucking around and I was like, I could probably mod this case. And then I was like, or I could just build one myself. And so you can actually, this is something I've been mucking around with. Like it's not even close to ready. Um, and I hunted around on Alibaba for ages. I wanted a white chassis that didn't look like trash, and well, that's not the case. So what I'm planning to do is, I've kind of just started mucking around with this, is you can kind of see it's a little bit similar. Like I took the inspiration from this case and then basically just said, all right, let's shove it in here. And then so essentially what I'm going to do is have like a front panel here. And then over here, I'm still tossing up how I'm going to do it, but I'm thinking of buying like a really small, like 6-inch capacitive touch screen, and then putting that as a HDMI port, which we can actually display as a screen. So like on the Ubiquiti switches, they have like a little interface there. My idea is to build like a tiny little interface where I can just like restart the server, restart the router, like restart the hypervisor, restart the router, like just really basic kind of like sysadmin stuff, so that like if I'm out of the house and my missus is like, oh, the router's not working, I can just be like, okay, this is what you need to do, and just kind of like she can just go on here and just touch. Yeah, like that's exactly right. It kind of looks like a Ubiquiti switch, but the only difference is that it'll all be homegrown. So, and then what you can do is I kind of like, this is not like nowhere even close to complete. Let me just flatten it out. So I just put a drive there because I kind of I'm going to put like all my front buttons. I'm just going to buy a generic front button panel thing, which has got USBs and a front button thing. And they kind of usually fit in the 3.5-inch slot. So I'm just kind of like using that as a guide. But you can see here, the idea is that, oh yeah, and that cutout, don't worry about that cutout. That's just because I don't know how to put vertical panels on this yet. My idea is that I'm going to put, like, similar to this, in here, I'm going to have like, where is it? Here it is. I'm going to have like 40mm fans that I can stick there. So essentially, and then I can just stick a heat sink. The problem is with the desktop mini ITX boards, Hey, my Ubiquity one works really well. I actually really like my Ubiquity one, actually. I haven't had any problems with it, so I'm probably lucky. Um, but it probably won't work as well as Ubiquity one, to be honest. Um, but basically, I'm gonna have like 40 mil fans there, and I might just see if I can get my mate to 3D print a shroud for it, because I'm gonna put a desktop board in there, and my idea is like my desktop motherboard doesn't support TPM, which means I won't be able to go to Windows 11. So my idea is that I'm going to use my Coffee Lake 8800 Coffee Lake processor, which is ridiculously overkill for something like this. Shove it in the board. You know, you've got 6 cores. I won't be able to run it at 5 gigahertz, but I might be able to put it at 3, which is, you know, and it's a full-blown Intel processor with all the bells and whistles. That should have the capability to be able to eat whatever it wants when it comes to running a firewall. Like I'll probably just run Sophos Home. I'm not going to run pfSense. I'll just run Sophos Home in the VM. Because my existing firewall just can't do it. Like I have every service turned off except for it's literally just functioning as a firewall and a web proxy. There's no IDS or anything like any sort of dynamic scaling or anything like that happening with applications. Like it's just like it just eats too much of the CPU out. And the other thing is that if I go to like my mate Paul's site, so I know this guy. He's like it's a really good site. So the Extreme Sophos gear. So the biggest one, which is this one here, so that's the XGS 136. It's got like a separate CPU which is designed for like processing specific things, and it's going to cost like $2.5 grand. And I was like, that's a lot of money. But anyway, but like I was talking to the guy who runs the site, Paul, and basically he said like this bottom box, which is like the only one that can fit in my which can fit in my rack. Keep in mind, I've got a 30 centimeter rack. This is the biggest one that can fit in there, the most gruntiest one, and it can only do 700 megabit with all services turned on. So I'm like, this is when it's more cost effective and easier just to shove a full on blown Intel processor in it, a high end one, and let it just go ham on whatever it throws at it. So yeah, that's one of the things I love about yeah. And I just run the VM equivalent of it. Like I was looking at Alibaba and like what they had to offer, and it just yeah. And the other frustrating thing is that if you actually go to the slightly bigger one, so this is the slightly bigger one. It's got a PCIe slot. The only difference is, will it work? Are you going to be doing SSL inspection? No, there's not going to be any SSL inspection. The reason why is because I can't be bothered installing certificates. It's just going to be mainly like IDS. Like IDS is, you turn on Squid and it just kills everything. And so essentially the idea is if I want to be able to run a LAN party, I want to be able to have these services turned on. And then basically like have these services just turned on in general, like so it's watching all the traffic, because at the moment it's currently blind, it doesn't really do any of it. But you can see here this is a slightly bigger one, and it's basically it's got a PCIe slot. It could also fit my motherboard, so I could literally pull out my motherboard out of my computer and just slap it straight in here and be good to go. And it's obviously, you know, got a couple of little spots there for the SSDs. Problem with it, and this is again just the story of my life, is that it's just too deep. So the depth of this is 36.9. So it's, if I've got a 30-inch rack, it's just going to poke out by 6 centimeters. So I'm like, or 6.5 centimeters. So I'm like, well, no. And that's not even clearance for the back for the power leads and, you know, Ethernet cables. So hence the reason why I want to actually go down the path and build my own. And this is actually really cool. So and it's actually really easy to do. So like, for instance, you can it took me a little bit of like heartache. But essentially you can, like you can see here, I'm editing this specific face, and I'm just like building this kind of cutout thing for, it's basically going to be a frame that sits up on a 90, so the air kind of goes through that way. But you can see like I can add the motherboard, and then it's like, don't forget the standoff. So you basically add the standoff screws, and you basically position the motherboard where you want it. And it's just so much easier to deal with. Like, and then so when it comes to like, it's very tedious work because you've got to go and do a lot of measurements. But the cool part about this is that, like you can see here, I just added this motherboard from a template. It's a mini ITX board. And then basically I can actually scale my case so that it fits to that specific criteria. So it's that profile, and I know I'm going to need to cut the top part off. Like that's, you know, that's going to happen. Like that's inevitable. But it kind of, at least then, you know, it's helping you to visualize what's going on. And then obviously having the PCIe slot here, and looking at where I need to put that and put a riser and all that kind of stuff there. And yeah, you could wall mount it. Yeah, I could, but it's already like my like the rack is wall mounted itself. Like, and so like you open up my cupboard, the rack's right there. It's just like nice and easy. It's just, it's like a 6RU. You know, it's got a, like, it's pretty much kitted out like already. It's just like I've just got minus an RU so that basically all the power leads can go from the power bar from the bottom into the back of the case. And then it's basically just got a Ubiquiti switch on top. It's got the 10 gigabit Ubiquiti switch. It's got my Sophos firewall. It's like, it's super basic. It's basically, it's not even a rack case like with a door. It's just a frame. Like, it's so basic. Like, and that's all it needs to be. And like, and I wanted it to be a frame because it's in a cupboard. Like, it's a big cupboard, but it, like, I still wanted a bit of open air in it. So, but anyway, I think we raised the PR. So you kind of caught me at the back of the thing. So we raised a the PR, so we'll see how we go. So we integrated the HTMLAgilityPack. So, oh, look at that. Yeah, sure, go ahead. Go ahead, sounds good. Look at that. Joel already did it. Fantastic. But yeah, you can see that essentially, yeah, well, at least it's getting action, which is really cool. I'm happy about that. But yeah, and you can obviously, we see we've got some changes that we've added. We've added some some cool little features into it. So for instance, we can, where is it? We basically added, we added also a by text search, so you can essentially just do an XPath query lookup and you can actually search for text on the screen, which is really cool. And then we basically integrated some HTMLAgilityPack stuff, which is really cool as well. So yeah, that is it. Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed the stream. It was a good chat. Yeah, make sure you, I'm going to probably be streaming again next weekend. I don't know yet. We'll see. And yeah, and hopefully everyone has a good weekend or has a good night. And yeah, that's pretty much it. I will see you guys when I see you guys. Anyway, bye.